I'm afraid we were so excited to start this session, we actually forgot to introduce ourselves. We are not the same people that were here before. So my name is Evgenia Tomkiv. I'm at the Norwegian University of Life Sciences, and my colleague is
Maria Gomorka from the Federal Office of Radiation Protection. I'm a biologist.
Apologies for that, we've corrected. It is now my pleasure to present the second speaker of our session today, and that's Sophie Uppers from University of Antwerp and SEK-CEN. And she's gonna be talking to us about the theory-based, evidence-based, and strategic radon risk communication. The floor is yours, Sophie.
Thank you. So, would you use humor to communicate about one of the leading causes of lung cancer? Oh. My name is Sophie Apers, and I'm a fourth-year PhD student at the University of Antwerp and the Belgian Nuclear Research Center. And today I'd like to convince you that theory-based, evidence-based, and strategic communication is very much needed in the field of radon communication. I forgot. Yes. First of all, we went to look at the context of radon communication, and we started with a blank notebook. And we looked at two main research questions. First of all, what does the current communication look like? And second of all, what do people in radon priority areas actually think about radon communication? So for the first question, we did a systematic review where we investigated radon mass media campaigns published in peer-reviewed journals. And we started with over 1,700 papers, and after deleting duplicates and title, abstract, full text screening, we ended up with 40 papers, which equaled 27 campaigns. We analyzed them, and we noticed that most of the campaigns focus on raising awareness, increasing knowledge, and increasing risk perception. They do it with brochures, by providing all the information at once and with very general and technical information, which results in very limited awareness and very limited testing, because this is very much a pull strategy. They assume that people will actually look for the information. So first question, we have an idea. For the second question, what do people in radon priority areas actually think of radon communication? We did design thinking workshops in Belgium and Slovenia, where we looked at the current radon communication and also at the future of radon communication. For the current radon communication, we learned that people experience a lack of interventions on all different types of levels. So policy level, for instance, regulation, lack of regulation, but also on the economical level, lack of subsidies or lack of free radon tests and so on. But most of all, they lacked clear communication. When we brainstormed with them and we co-created some communication tools, it became apparent that they really wanted to focus on awareness, really broad awareness focus with catchy radio spots, personalized letters, and then a very clear website. But they also wanted to focus on advice, very personal advice, one-on-one communication, but also testimonials, like really real people's experiences about their own house and their own mitigation and so on. For our research, we will focus on the awareness bit. So this calls for a first discrepancy. The current communication focuses on awareness, knowledge, and risk perception by providing general, technical, and traditional communication, but people actually want to focus on awareness and advice with personal and relevant communication. So back to the notebook, back to the planning stage, what do we want now? First of all, we want personally relevant communication. We want more awareness in radon priority areas, and we want to provide the right information at the right time. To investigate the personally relevant communication, we did an online experiment. We were one of the first studies that actually looked at this specific topic in radon communication. And we compared statistical versus narrative texts. So statistical texts really focus on risk as analysis, so risk as something logical, based on probabilities and based on facts and numbers, which provides general information and is really focused on the rational approach. So we provide information and we assume that people will actually take that information in and then order a test kit. The narrative texts really focus on risk as a feeling. Like, how do I feel about this risk? More the emotional part and the affective part. Does it affect me personally? So there we looked at testimonials, which are proven to increase personal relevance. Our experiment looked like this. So we provided a newspaper article, a very general article that was actually published in Belgium earlier, and then a testimonial of a young mother who was diagnosed with lung cancer and who tells her story in the I perspective of finding out about radon and mitigating her house. To look at personal relevance, we looked at risk perception, but we made a distinction between personal risk perception and general risk perception. So personal risk perception focuses really on how do you as a person feel at risk, and general risk perception focuses more on the overall society. We also looked at intention to test, intention to seek information, and intention to mitigate. We also had a control condition where we provided no information. So regarding risk perception, we saw that in both cases it was higher in the narrative condition, however, not significantly higher than the statistical condition. For intention to test, we found the same results, but for intention to seek information and intention to mitigate, we found that the intentions were significantly higher in the narrative condition than in the statistical condition. So that gives an indication that indeed personally relevant communication can be a good path to take in the future. So check. We also want more awareness in radon priority areas. Awareness in our case, from the start of this project, I've always heard the saying, just raise awareness, but that's not all of it, of course. Awareness for us is really about grabbing the attention, about standing out with your communication, and about drawing people in and getting people motivated. In the literature, we learned that narratives are one of the strategies to draw in attention. It can also enhance comprehension of cancer-related information and increase information recall. Another strategy is humor. It's also known to capture attention, to improve the acceptance of a message, and to attach positive emotions to this message as well. And we also have norm nudges. Nudges are a more covered way of drawing the attention. Norm nudges specifically focus on social expectations, and on the dynamic norms focus more on the increasing bit of an uptake of a certain behavior. So, okay, more awareness. We have some indication that the theory says that we can do this actually. Then the right information at the right time. When we look at elaboration likelihood model, this actually ties in with the attention bit. So when people are attentive to information and they have the motivation to process this information and the ability, so they actually understand what people are saying, the information processing happens through the central route of the brain, and attitudes get changed long term. So this is really interesting for us as well. So let's take this to the drawing board again. What does it look like? We came up with the Radon Buster campaign. This campaign, we try to develop social media posts with focus on the humor, the narrative, and the norms, which would then lead to a comprehensive website, and then in this and then again would lead to the websites of the authorities with more information, radon maps, and actually also a place where they can order the tests. To give you a look at the social media posts, we have developed a total of 5, but I will show you one of each category. So this one is the humorous one. Then we have the narrative one, which tells a story about a sad house whose homeowner will then take action and mitigate for radon, and then the house is happy again. And then we also have the norms post, which focuses on identification, on relatedness to the family pictured, but also in the text it's emphasized like an increasing number of people are actually doing it already. So this is the norms one. So we did an online experiment to evaluate these materials. We did it in Austria, in Belgium, in Ireland, and in Slovenia, and we had 4 conditions. So we had a humor condition, narrative condition, dynamic norms condition, and a control condition. And we looked at motivation, which in our case was whether people found it personal, relevant, easy to understand, and interesting. In Austria, we found that motivation was significantly higher for the norms the norms condition compared to the control condition. In Belgium, we found that all the conditions were significantly higher regarding motivation. And in Ireland, the humor condition was the most popular one. In Slovenia, we did not find significant differences between the conditions. We then looked at the indirect effect of motivation on intention to test through intention to seek information. And we found that the indirect effect was significant in all cases. I forgot the asterisk, but it's on the 0.5 level at least, based on confidence intervals. Then we also had a direct effect in all the countries except of Slovenia. And then the total effect was also significant in all countries. So this gives the first indication that indeed the Facebook posts would lead to intention to seek information and to the guided to the website. The website looks like this. We actually developed it. It's really low threshold information about radon. It's based on the most common barriers and misconceptions that people have about radon and questions. And it's really structured on what can I do, am I at risk, and really step-based platform. To test this website, we did a social media study of 4 weeks on Facebook and with a live website, also in Austria, Belgium, Ireland, and Slovenia. We also looked at motivation, but this time we looked at the engagement rate, which is like clicks, shares, comments on the post, etc. And when looking at seeking information, we looked at the click-through rate, which is whether people actually click on the post to visit the website. And we found some interesting results. So in Austria, we spent €1,000 and we reached 71,000 individual people. We had an engagement rate of 3.8% and a click-through rate of 0.7%. In Belgium, we spent €1,700 and we reached over 170,000 unique people, an engagement rate of 3.4 and a click-through rate of 0.8. In Ireland, we spent €1,300 and we reached over 110,000 people, and we had an engagement rate of 3.8 and a click-through rate of 0.87. And in Slovenia, we spent €500. We reached 47,000 people, an engagement rate of 3.9 and a click-through rate of 0.9. To put these numbers into perspective, a public health campaign regarding engagement rates usually scores between 1% and 5%. Given that this is a completely new campaign, it's actually really high for us to have these results already. People didn't know radon busters; it was all new, so it's really successful. And click-through rates for public health campaigns, we also have 0.5 to 1.5% is considered successful. So also there, we're right in the middle, and I think we can consider this a very successful campaign. So to look back, we have personal relevance communication. We can confirm that this can increase the motivation to seek information at least. We have more awareness in radon priority areas, but with the nuance that different components are needed to strengthen the awareness. So we only did social media campaign, but that's not everything, of course. We also need stakeholder communication. We need personal communication. We need all different types of communication to really strengthen this awareness and make it really an urgent thing. And then we also provide the right information at the right time. And we really found that communication should be targeted to the behavior stage, and that we should not provide all the information at once, but really look at what cycle of behavior change are people at and base our communication on that. So after this presentation, I will ask you again, will you use humor to communicate about the risks of radon? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophie. It's an impressive study, and I applaud you for doing such a comprehensive, bit by bit, step by step exploration into this. So, do we have any questions in the room or in the chat? You're just bamboozled now. I'm sort of thinking in particular about perhaps the authorities that are having the responsibility to communicate, what your... No, it's... Okay.
In my experience, radon is boring to people who would not give much interest to this subject. Efficient communication can be achieved through not radon article. For example, a MD gives advice on how to prevent cancer and would no longer forget about radon.
Yeah, I think that's true. But also things like humor or narratives can shift the focus away from radon specifically and really focus on the positive emotions, but also on indeed other types of cancer. Yeah.
Any questions?
There's no one. Could I just ask a question on this engagement rate that you mentioned? You said this is double the rate of what would normally be for a public campaign.
No, the public health campaign, sorry if I said it incorrectly, but it's between 1% and 5% is considered successful, and we're at 3.8-ish, so it's right in the middle, and I think it's, considered successful given that it's such a new campaign and it was not communicated anywhere else. So therefore, I think we can, consider it as a success for a first try.
Okay, if no questions, I'll misuse my power as the co-chair. So you've had your experiments in 4 different countries, so I'm assuming you were collaborating with the radon partners in those countries, and some of them must be authorities who are sitting on the responsibility of doing the communication. So did did they have any sort of responses to this results, and what kind of responses they had, and whether they had any reflections of, is this something that they would like to implement in their communication strategies, and how they can actually do that?
So the social media results are quite new, so I think it's also a first for them. They have had an update for the first week, but we still have to get back to them. But now it's a first glimpse of those results. We've had a positive response from Belgium that were actually are waiting for us to give them the materials so that they can use them in the radon campaign next year. So that's really nice, and we will also make all the materials available. We have them in the 4 languages, so all the authorities are very free to use them or to adapt them or anything. I think at first some of the authorities might have been like a bit cautionary. I don't know what the right word is, but I think at the end they were actually quite open to the results and very, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they were very enthusiastic about the first results.
That's great to hear.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sophie. And thank you everybody for staying with us for an excellent closing session of today.